ignore that. But I finally bought a Switch. Don't ask me what made me want to do it, but I don't have any games for it, so let's go to Book Off and let's see what we can find. That's not on street. All right, we're gonna go to a new Book Off. I actually never been to this one. This is a Riverside location. So let's see what we can find. And here we are in the Nintendo Switch games. Hold up, those are NES games. I gotta take a peek really quick before I start spending all my money on the Switch. Now I'm very iffy about NES games at Book Off because they typically mark them up fairly high. And we're gonna swap over to vertical because I'm not sure. I just filmed it like this. Here we have the Super Mario 3D collection and Mario Odyssey, a game that I actually did want to play. And there are the Pokemon stuff, but it is all Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Now, I'm a Pro guy. I played Pokemon Pro on the DS, but they did not have it here. So we got our 3 Switch games and we popped over to the Game Boy Advance games, and they do have Sonic Advance 2 boxed. And the NES games. They do have Metroid, Ghost and Goblin, Super Mario Bros. 2, and a Mario Bros. 3 that has seen better days. But for $10, if you don't care about your label, this is pretty good. I care about my label though. And of course, Dragon Warrior, one of the most common NES games for $20. I'm good. There's also the Barbie game, Wrecking Crew, Fazanadu. Now I actually do have this for the Famicom. And there is an English patch for it, so you could play it the way the Lord intended. And of course, there is Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And $8 for a fairly common game, that's actually not too bad. And here we have Ice Climbers, a game that I actually don't have and am slightly interested in playing. But for a price that's a little too much for my blood. But look at that, we got Willow on the NES. Now I do have this game for the Famicom, and I got it for $2. Me and my friend group have a weird fascination with this movie and franchise. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original, for $35. I personally like the second one a little more, but that is not a hot take at all. What is actually surprising is that this Book Off has a lot of NES games. It's usually not like this. And here is River City Ransom, a game that is super fun, definitely worth the price. And at the very top, we do have these Super Nintendo games. Nothing that really stood out to me though. Now, one of my biggest fears is disc rot, so I'm kind of weary about purchasing PlayStation games, especially for that price. $55 for Medieval, $90 for Breath of Fire 3. How about a green labeled, very common game? $39. Yeah, we're putting all that back. And Dragon Quest 7 for $65. Now, those are a little too expensive. Let's go to the PlayStation 2 games. All right, $15 for Resident Evil 4. I could afford that. And here are the Japanese games. Here we have all the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Then we have the Super Famicom, and some Nintendo 64 games. Pausing it super quick, we have Banjo-Tooie at the far left and both versions of Super Mario 64. And at the bottom, we do have some boxed games and some PlayStation 3 games as well. I'm more interested in the boxed Super Famicom games, although there is nothing that really stood out to me. And here are the Japanese systems. These GameCubes are region locked, but the Super Nintendo and the 64 are not. You just gotta do a couple things here and there and you're good to go. $110 for the 64 is actually not a bad price. And here we have some PSP games, some more collector edition PSP games, as well as some anime. But let's look at the PlayStation 2 games. Here's Ratchet & Clank, the first game. And what's interesting about Ratchet & Clank is that the Japanese art and the Japanese advertising for Ratchet & Clank in general is a little more cutesy than how he is displayed in the American market. And what is this? Bakemonogatari for the PlayStation Portable. If I still had my PSP, I would have picked it up. Side note, I found my PSP in the middle of making this video. Nakashima, if you're watching, we have your game. Also, Fumihiko, we have your game as well. But Final Fantasy VI, it's a little yellowed, but for $3, yeah, I'll take it. And we are over in the manga section. I definitely do not need any more manga, but Book Off is a place to go if you're looking for just cheap manga. And we have Eyes. Absolutely love this series. Volume 4, $6. Yeah, we're picking this up. Put it in the pile. You want every single issue of Fairy Tail up to a certain point? Book Off's got you covered. There are a lot of different full series or close to full series. Save a couple bucks and go to a Book Off. I absolutely love this series. I'm missing Volume 3, but I'm going to pick this up because it's cheap. Oh shit, Televeru. Real ones, no. And of course, they do have a couple figures here and there. A wide variety of different prize figures, premium figures, pop-up parades. There is the Kuma bear figure. And here are the figures without the boxes. Now, they are slightly cheaper because they are unboxed, but I don't really see anything that truly catches my eye. That Blastoise is kind of sick, though, but I didn't pick it up. And here are a bunch of Ultraman figures, and ooh, that's actually kind of nice. That Chica figure is pretty nice. Ooh, Sakura Miku. And they do have a wide variety of different figures, and like, wait a minute, I know that logo. So I walked over and I grabbed this cup from Hayore Nyaruko-chan, which is a series I have not thought about in close to a decade, but oh my god, they have Sakura War figures here. Sakura Wars 2 figures. And here I am looking for Sakura. Of course they didn't have it, but they had my boy. So we're snagging it. There's a Ruka figure looking really nice. There's a Hatsune Miku Noodle Stopper figure. We got a Love Life figure. We got a Kaguya figure. There's a lot of good stuff here. And we got a Yotsuba, some Quint stuff, and Kanan from Hello Happy World. So I'm curious to see if there even was a Sakura in the set. And there is. These are the figures from Volume 1. Here are the figures from Volume 2. And here is Volume 3, and they're more casual wears. I need that Sakura like right now. Man, I spent so much money. I gotta stop coming to Book Off. They're literally taking all of my money. So I got a lot of good stuff, and there's a lot of room because we're gonna be showing off like that. So I got Dragon Slayer for the Super Famicom. This is done by Nihon Falcom, one of my favorite video game companies. And I actually didn't know they did this for the Super Famicom. So I've played it on the TurboGrafx 16 CD, or the TurboGrafx CD. So I'm curious to see how different this one's gonna be. This is actually the only retro game that I picked up, but I also got Eyes 4. I am planning on buying all of the Eyes books, like the physical ones. It's a phenomenal romantic comedy. Definitely check it out if you haven't yet. It's an older one. I believe this is from like the early 2000s. I could be wrong. Let me double check. 2005, so the mid 2000s. It's a phenomenal series. Definitely check it out. I'm still purchasing all of the Wotakoi books. I'm missing 3. This is issue 4, so I'm not gonna read this until I buy issue 3. But like I mentioned in the little voiceover, I'm cheap. I'm cheap as hell, so I'm gonna try not to purchase I'm gonna try not to buy a full price, although, you know, probably should to support Kodansha. But yeah, I could save like a couple bucks by buying it used. But if I go to another Book Off and they don't have it, I'm just gonna buy it new. So then I had to get these. I absolutely love Sakura Wars. It's one of my favorite game series, like on the Sega Saturn, which really isn't that hard because the Sega Saturn doesn't really have games. I was flabbergasted when I saw these. They didn't have Sakura, which is my favorite character. So this is from the second game, which there isn't an English patch, so I haven't played it, but I have played the first one and it is fantastic. I have also played the reboot on the PlayStation 4, which you definitely got to play it if you haven't. And it's fantastic. I started with the reboot, then I started going back. There is the Game Boy Color patch out, so you can play that, as well as the puzzle one, I believe, on the Dreamcast as well. So we got Sumida, and we got Sumida and our main boy. Man, I was not expecting this. This is retro goodness right here. So the Switch games that I got, like the whole reason I actually went to Book Off was I got Mario Odyssey, Metroid Dread, and Mario Party. I did want to pick up Pokemon Pearl, Shining Pearl, I believe it's what it's called, but they didn't have it. They literally only had a Pokemon Diamond, so I didn't get it. And yeah, Book Off is really dangerous, especially if you're a retro game collector, such as myself, and just like a giant like anime fan, such as myself. It's really dangerous. I spent $160, so don't be like me, be smarter. Or fuck it, spend your money. You only live once. So with that being said, thank you all for hanging out with me to go get some Switch games and then leaving with a lot more stuff than what you anticipated. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Catch y'all later. Bye.